On this week's episode of the Digital Monkey Show, we'll be talking about company brand versus personal brand, which is better, doing content on social media and how it's not a quick fix for your lead generation problems, being prolific with your content publishing rather than being perfect with it, because quantity will eventually lead to quality. We've got some heavy hitting topics this week, so stick around. Young Jerome, cue music. Welcome to the show, everyone. My name is Jay, and this is my co-host, business partner, and biological brother, Phil. How you doing, man?
Real brother, hey. I almost forgot that. Our show is called the Digital Monkey Show. Actually.
Yeah, we've changed it a couple of times. It's okay.
I am well. I'm well. Thank you very much. So feeling a lot better after a little stint with the shingles, but still going.
Yeah, I might have to actually disinfect his headphones because I don't know if our clients will be too happy with getting shingles because of us.
So yeah. No, look. Let's get straight into it now. I want to know our first topic today: company brand versus personal brand.
Before we move on to the first topic, actually, this week's episode is actually quite heavy on social media. So I think that if you're a business owner that's wondering if you should have your business on social media, this episode will definitely benefit you quite a bit. So I definitely recommend any business owners.
We'll have a recommendation to you. Stick around until the end of the episode, guys. So you're the expert on this, Jay.
I wouldn't say an expert.
You read extensively on it. So tell me, what do you fall? Which camp do you fall on? Do you like to have the company brand or the personal brand?
Now, company brand versus personal brand. That's a as you say, a doozy, isn't it?
Doozy.
That's one that I've actually asked the whole team about, and the responses I've got were quite mixed. And also, I think that through my time with dealing with clients and also social media in general, I've actually built a pretty good understanding of what works better and what doesn't. And a saying that I quite like, and something that I say quite a bit, and then the whole team knows, is people like to connect with people, right, at the end of the day. And for example, we've got a couple of clients that we currently work with. We produce their content for them and also manage their social media. And I found that the clients that we do their company brand for and the clients that we do their personal brand for, we're getting actually more traction on the clients that we're doing their personal brand for. And that's really weird because we found that a lot of because we do the same type of content, right, for both our clients, right? And funny enough, the clients that have personal brand seem to be popping off and getting more traction than those that do company brand. And it's something that I'm currently testing with our own content, where we've got our business TikTok or Instagram, and I've recently created a personal brand for myself. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to post everything that we're posting on AM Visuals on my own page, and exactly the same caption, same song, same thumbnail, and we're going to see if this is the case. So tune in if you want to hear the results. We'll probably be releasing it in
Do you have a hypothesis, like figuring out, this is a scientific term, but I'm curious to see, do you have an initial idea of why that is? Why personal brand tends to work a lot better than company brands? Yeah,
look, I think that people generally connect better with faces rather than logos. And when you're on someone's page or a business page, if you don't have a personality there where you can connect with, it doesn't work as well. And I've been recently listening to a podcast by The Future. You know The Future, Chris Do, right? Yeah, he's one of my inspirations because he's a preacher. Like he really helps individuals in the creative space, I guess, better themselves, right? And a recent episode that he's had on with a gentleman called Daniel Priestley, he's actually Australian who's now living in the UK. He wrote the book Key Person of Influence, which is a book that's actually 12 years old. I actually haven't read it yet, but I will be buying it very soon, and I'll be reading the crap out of it because I think that this gentleman Daniel has a lot of good insights on just social media and personal brand and all that.
One of the things, since we're on this topic, I was just researching some stats to see if we could replicate what he was saying on the book, right? So just for those thinking about company brand versus personal brand, which way you go, here's a little couple of stats for you. So you think about big dogs like Richard Branson, Tim Cook, and Elon, right? Elon Musk. So Elon's quite big. So check this out. Tesla, 16.5 million followers on Twitter. But Elon, 102.5 million followers.
So that's like almost tenfold. Holy
Right.
crap.
You got Tim Cook, Apple, 8.1 mil. Tim Cook, 13.5. Richard, you have Virgin at 251,000 versus his one, 12 million.
That's crazy, isn't it? That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. And look, I think earlier we spoke about this too. Like you've seen personalities on YouTube as well, right? Where they've got their own brand. I mean, like for example, Peter McKinnon, right? He's a pretty popular videographer, photographer on YouTube, but he's also launched a vlogging channel for himself, so he can talk about other things too. And funny enough, that channel also gains a lot of traction because obviously people want to know what you do outside of just your main thing, right?
People are curious.
People are curious,
correct.
correct.
It tends to be a thing. That's why like celebrities are often quite, prolific and quite looked up upon because like they're in the limelight. They don't really care. People don't really care about what's going on in the background and all the surrounding infrastructure that they need to create the movies or the songs or whatnot. No one really thinks about that.
Tell us about your, I guess, experience with Casey Neistat. Like you mentioned earlier.
So before I started this whole like a career in videography and photography, like I was actually watching a lot of them. Like I never had the inkling of doing this professionally. I thought it was just like a hobby kind of thing. But over the years, watching like guys like Casey Neistat and Peter McKinnon, like you're talking about Manny Papoja, and even Joe Rogan. Like Joe Rogan is actually one of my biggest influences as to why I'm doing podcasting in the first place. And once you start listening to these guys, and if you find a connection with them, you stay with them long term.
Correct.
Like
right?
you don't deviate from that. Even though there's other podcasters out there who are sort of doing the same thing, sort of not, and videographers like Casey Neistat. There's plenty of guys doing like daily vlogging, right? But once you find a connection with that one person, you tend to stay with them.
And you connect with them, right?
I did, and it felt like I was looking. Back then, I felt like I was looking for ways to get out of my own trouble, like get out of the career path that I did not like, right? So there's guys out there who are doing something that I wanted to do, and I wanted to follow their journey to see like where they come from and where they're going, sort of thing. And
that's a thing, right? Once you start investing yourself in a brand, you find out the co-founders or the owners and people in that company, and you start what's it called, investing yourself into what their story is.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is that you want to connect with other people and the experience, what they've gone through, and how this is related to your
experience. And you're more likely to buy from them too.
Correct.
Like
and that's actually touching up the next point, which is another topic that Daniel Priestley mentioned in the podcast with the future Chris Do, is that, for example, the Eiffel Tower, right, in Paris, it doesn't actually generate a lot of revenue when you want to go up in a tower, right? It's a couple of euros here and there. Everyone can afford it, basically. You pay, you go up. The thing is, the Eiffel Tower doesn't generate the revenue, but the businesses around the Eiffel Tower generate all the revenue. So the cafes, the souvenir shops, all that type of stuff, they generate all the income, right? And that's what his idea is in terms of being the key person of influence. So, for example, you invest in yourself, in your personal brand, and what that does is it in turns allows all the businesses around you to benefit from you being the spotlight, right? And this is, I guess, really.
This is what you're testing with your whole personal brand, like to see if like you being the awesome guy that you are, dishing out knowledge. And you agree with that? I don't know about that. Like, Barlow, your brother. I'm forced to say that you're not that cool. But you're trying to see that if you're heading out that way, creating your own personal brand, is that going to trickle back to AM visuals?
Correct.
Is that what you're trying out?
So the saying that I love, and I'm full of saying, guys. If you guys follow us, in the long run, you'll probably be able to generate a dictionary of sayings that I say.
Yeah.
But the saying goes, where eyeballs go, money goes, right? Which basically means that you build an audience, you're able to monetize from it, right? You build an audience, you're able to get brands to endorse you because they want to get reach. And there was a recent post that I saw from Casey Neistat where he was saying that.
Who, sorry?
Casey Neistat.
Neistat?
Neistat or Neistat?
Neistat.
Neistat? Okay, I thought it was Neistat.
How dare you?
Yeah, but he was
tarnish his name. I am mad.
He was saying that before he even started monetizing on YouTube, he had like 100 million views or something like that. And once he did, the first month he got paid $6,000, right? The next month he got paid $16,000, and the month after that he got paid $60,000, and just kept going on and on and on, right? And from there, brands started noticing him, obviously, and they started putting him, reaching out to him to say, hey, look, we really love your content. Can we, do collabs? But then he realized that they didn't really care about the content that he was producing with their brand, but they were more interested in the reach that he had, right? And that's the thing with when you build your personal brand is you're able to build an audience and also gain some traction because obviously you're more relatable, you connect better with people. And then from there, once all the businesses that you build around yourself, that's when you'll start generating revenue, right?
Yeah, think about guys like even Gary Vee, man. He's huge.
Yeah.
And he's made a name for himself.
Correct.
Like his message is like love, peace, and happiness. But like the thing people know him for social media, and because he's so eccentric, that it just makes it kind of divides people. It creates a conversation around
I didn't like him at the start. I don't think anybody.
I think
he was a massive dick, and then after that, and he states it. He knows that people think he's a massive dick, and then eventually you see him on a regular basis. It's like, oh shit,
I don't know why though. Like. Wouldn't you like if you really come up to it, like if you think someone's a dick, you don't want to listen to them, but like, for some reason, like the more you listen to this guy, you just fall in love with his ideology.
I think his ideology. Yeah, but I think it's something to do with prolific over perfect, which is something that we'll probably we'll touch up on later on in this podcast.
Do you listen to his podcast?
Yeah, actually do. He doesn't really post podcasts. He posts more snippets of his.
He does, but like what I'm trying to say is the quality
is shit.
Horrendous.
But the content is good. But that's what again we'll touch up on that in just a bit. But also a funny thing that he actually says is like he always says, for example, Charles DeMarco, I think that's her name on TikTok, the really popular dancing girl. The most popular one, when she put TikTok on the map or whatever, right? So she's really popular.
Young Jerome, pull that up.
Yeah,
sorry, I had to do that.
So Charlie DeMarco or some, I don't know what her name is, but then
D'Amelio?
Is it?
Are you talking about Charlie D'Amelio?
Yes. Yeah, whatever her name is, whatever.
D'Amelio. So what does she do? Sorry, give me.
She literally just dances, right? She's been dancing on TikTok since her teens, right? Now she's got like freaking 50, 60, 100 million on TikTok followers, right?
Yeah.
And but then Gary Vee says that you're making fun of her now for just dancing, but dude, the audience and the eyeballs that she has on her, once they figure out how to monetize it, and like, let's see who'll be laughing then, right?
Yeah.
And it's funny, like a lot of people, I think we're getting a bit sidetracked here, but then a lot of people are so against social media. I don't know why. They just, I think they just don't understand the power of social media.
There's a huge love-hate relationship with it. Like it's just like either you, because okay, I think I know why. It's because like the power it can amplify, right? It's either because I'm not sure if this is the same, but like once you get onto social media, it's like handing yourself like a microphone. If you're a good singer, it's gonna sound amazing. But if you're a shit singer, then everybody's gonna know like you sound terrible, right? So
you're just biting on Daniel Priestley stuff.
I am, and it's a great podcast. I reckon like anyone that is in this field or is in business should listen to that podcast.
Correct.
Like the stuff that he was dishing, I was just like I had to listen to that podcast like twice.
I'm going through my second time, and I think I'm gonna be going through a third and fourth time after that too, because it's so good, guys. If you haven't listened to it, please do.
Let's get to the recommendation with this, like whether or not you should start your brand as a company brand or as a personal brand. Because one of the things I noticed, and I've had a couple of people ask me with starting out a new business, like, do you start off with your own personal brand or do you start off as a company brand? Because I think what the argument here, before you answer that question, is what do you want to do with a brand? Do you want to sell it in the future? Because it makes it a lot harder to sell something that with your name on it, right? So, for example, if you think about like Tim's Pies, Tom's, sandwiches. If you sell that business and you're not Tom, it's kind of hard to sell it, right? Don't you think?
Tim's Pie and Tom's sandwiches. God,
I don't know, some generic content here.
Like there's Vera Wang, there's Anna Wang, there's all these other names, but you'd come up with Tim's Pies and Tom's sandwiches. What the fuck? Anyways, look,
Anna Wang. That's actually true. There we go. That's probably a better example.
Correct. Or look, the way I see it is that why have one over the other, right? If you know that you'll be selling the business, why not just build your personal brand also alongside of that, build your company brand, right? And then eventually when you sell the company brand, you still keep your personal brand to build another business. Like I said, as a personal brand, or if you're building your personal brand, you become the spotlight, right? For attention, right? And they basically come to you for what you preach, right? and the businesses around you that you develop, right? They get the benefits from that as well. So say you have a Tom's Pie, right? And you've got Tim's sandwiches or
Why are you
whatever.
using my examples now?
Just wait, right? You sell off Tom's Pie, but you still got Tim's sandwiches,
Yeah.
right? What's to say that you can't start Sophie's ice creams? and that pops, right? Or what's to say that you start in Ugg's shoe brand or something, and that pops because you've got the audience already. What I'm saying is that it's not. Yes, it's personal brand does better than business brand, in my opinion. But it's not to say that you can't do both. You know what I mean? Eventually, who is to say that you know?
Could you say like you launch your personal brand, but you have the company brand as a product
Correct.
of your personal brand?
Correct, right?
Yeah.
It's a product, right?
It's like what's called Daniel Priestley said, the ecosystem.
The ecosystem.
The
right? Hey,
ecosystem.
tell us about that piece about BMW that you were mentioning earlier.
Oh yeah, so the example that Daniel Priestley was actually saying on the podcast with Chris Do is that, like, think about BMW. They sell cars, and they also sell insurance, right? But the funny thing about that is, like, their cars only make about 3% profit margin on top, whereas their finance option makes 40% profit margin. But the caveat to that is you can't have one without the other. So you can't just focus all your attention on it. This is why I was like mentioning the whole ecosystem kind of thing, like. And you know what, the Digital Monkey Show as well is a byproduct of AM Visuals. It's also a byproduct of the personal brand that we have as well.
What's to say that the Digital Monkey Show doesn't bring clients to AM Visuals, right? That's the whole, like you said, that's the whole shtick to it, right? By building a personal brand, you're able to develop other businesses around that you can sell. For example, from here, we get some attention. People want to learn how to do podcasting. We can do a coaching course for podcasting. They want to learn how to do videography. We can teach them that as well. So the possibilities of monetizing or building different businesses after you build your personal brand is massive, man. You can do anything with it, right? Opposed to having a business brand where that's all you do.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yep.
But yeah, man. All right, let's move on to the next topic.
But like, I think
sorry.
the biggest question is like for people who are starting. I was like, okay, so if I come out with a personal brand, I'm not sure you can answer this right now. You can answer that later on. But like the thing is, like, if you come in with a personal brand, what do you do? How do you do? What is the thing that you need you can talk about, right? So if you think like guys like Peter McKinnon, Casey Neistat, they are filmmakers. Well, actually no, Casey Neistat is a filmmaker. Peter McKinnon is actually just a content producer.
Think about it, right? So he's a content producer for videos, photos, right? But where has that led him to? He's now selling products. He's now selling bags, rings, jewelry, Parrot Life, right? He's built businesses around him that can benefit from his spotlight, that his audience,
but like,
right?
The question is like, how do you start it? How do you go into it in the first place? Like, how does a new business owner who wants to create a personal brand, like, how do they come in and what do they do? Where is the focus there?
Do content about what you're interested in. That's what something that Gary says all the time too. It's like, stop thinking about where the eyeballs are, right? Just do what you're interested in, because what you do and what you love will come off as you on screen, right? You're enthusiastic about it, you love it, so you're going to keep talking about
genuine.
it. Right? Correct. And then what that eventually does is you build an audience in that market, right? And then from there, you start another business. And then who's to say that a piece of or a chunk of that audience that wouldn't like what you do as well,
That's right? Yeah. We definitely live in a world of the internet where things need to be honest these days. And if you don't show, like, people can tell, like, the internet doesn't lie, and it's a very good bullshit meter. Like, if you're there to sell shit, then people are gonna see it.
Yeah.
Like 100%. Like the example that you love providing is just like how I like to just scroll through Instagram. If I see one sponsored post, straight past it. Not even a second. Not even a look.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah, man, we live in a time where people don't like getting sold to anymore, man. It's no longer about cold calling, but it's about putting yourself out there and getting the clients to come to you or the people to come to you. Anyways, let's move on to the second topic.
All right. So then the second topic that we have at the moment is doing content on social media. People think that it's a quick fix, and I want to know, how do you use it to generate leads?
Now, I think you've kind of butchered the topic there. The actual topic is doing social media and how it's not a quick fix for your lead generation problems. Look, it's not, man. Like, I've got a couple of clients that we're currently working with for social media, and when they come on board, or even new clients, to be honest, when they come on board, they always have this, I don't know, this thinking that as soon as they'll start doing social media, they'll start generating all these leads, and it will fix their lead generation problems. Because obviously everyone wants more leads, because more
no
leads.
one wants to wait.
Correct. No one wants to wait. More leads equals more business, and more business obviously equals more success, more monetary gain. So what I want to say here is that social media and content marketing is not a quick fix for your lead generation problems. If anything, it's a marathon, not a race, right? When you're doing social media, you're putting yourself out there so that people see you as a subject matter expert. They see you as the, I guess, trusted source, where you're not trying to fucking, excuse my French, when you're not trying to sell them stuff, right? So you're building trust. You're building, not expertise, but you're building, you're
creating honest content.
Correct. Genuine, honest content, right? And what that does is eventually you keep them top of mind, yourself top of mind for them. And eventually when they're ready to buy your service, your product, they'll think of you first, right? And
let's take it back to Daniel Priestley for a second.
Yeah.
He says that 7 interactions is what they need. 7 interactions, like over time. It doesn't have to happen now. It doesn't have to happen, tomorrow. It needs to happen. It needs to have 7 interactions over time. It can take a year, 2 years, but as soon as they start thinking about the stuff that that you have and that they need, they'll call you straight away because you've stayed on top of their mind for that period. Right. And a very good example of that is I had a real estate agent, but this is back when we had a farm. And this agent, every 3 months, he'll call me up. It's like, hey, Feng, how you doing? I'm just calling to see how's things are, how's the farm. Just like, if you need anything, if you need to sell or anything like that, I'm always here for you. But look, this is just a call just to say hi. And over time, we've actually developed a relationship. I know that he, every time I see Eric, his name was Eric on my phone, I'll pick up the phone because he's a nice guy, right? He wasn't being pushy or anything like that. He was just having a good conversation every time he called. And then 2 years later, it took 2 years, 2 whole years of calls every 3 months. And then when I started look, we need to sell this farm because the finance wasn't that great. But as soon as I wanted to sell, picked up the phone. Hey Eric, I'm ready. Let's do this.
How good's that?
So that's what social media is actually all about, right? Yeah. With that you're saying.
And what was that, like a $1.3 million property?
1.25 mil that was sold.
And he probably got what?
Got 2%, so that works out to be about 20K out of that.
20K in his pocket. 20K worth waiting 2 years for, right? But yeah, so I want what I'm trying to say is that if you're looking to do content marketing, if you're looking to do social media, do not expect leads straight away. Do not expect people, your inbox to be flooded with emails of people wanting to use your service, right? What it is that you're putting yourself out there, you're getting the engagement, you're building the trust, you're being seen as an expert, and you're staying top of mind. On top of that, once you start getting some traction with social media, make sure you engage with your audience, right? I see this a lot of times where you start, our clients start generating comments, start generating followers and likes, but they don't do anything with it. How do you expect to generate any leads if you don't do anything with it?
What do you mean by doing anything with it? What is expected of them once they start generating an audience?
Of course, they get all those comments. People ask them questions on the comment, but they don't respond. It's how are you going to become the trusted source if you don't respond to your audience, right? So I think a lot of people start doing social media with a sales mindset, but it's not actually a sales mindset. It's a marketing mindset, right? You're doing inbound marketing, and then this is a territory for obviously marketing stuff. And I don't want to say too much.
Isn't it what sales is all about? Just bring it back to sales. It's about developing a relationship with people, right?
Correct, right? Yeah. But then what they're looking to do is they're looking to get quick leads. It's not the case. When you start generating the traction, you communicate with your audience, you comment back, you reply, you give them value through the comments. What that does is they'll eventually, again, see you as an expert. They'll talk to you, they like your channel, they follow you. And in turn, eventually when they're ready to sell or buy or whatever, they'll use you. That's it. And then I'll DM you, or you can maybe flick them a quick DM, right? You don't do the content marketing so that you can put slap ads on it and just keep chucking content down.
Slap ads is not the way to go. Sponsored ads is not the way to go.
It's not, right?
You gotta love your audience, people.
That's it, man.
Yeah,
That's
love
it.
your
Like,
audience.
I've seen a lot this problem time and time again,
Yeah.
and I think people should really understand what the purpose of content marketing
Yeah.
is. And
Take a leaf out of the book of like a lot of YouTubers. They
Correct.
thank their audience so much,
Yeah.
like prolifically,
Yeah.
right? They actually go out of their ways to give away stuff for their fans because like they're the people that actually bring these guys up.
correct.
And it's the same with any businesses.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna be doing social media, you're there to do honest content. You're there to do a fan service for the people that want to use your service. So do something about it. Like talk to them.
It's not giving if you're doing it and expecting something to return.
Yeah.
Right? You want to do it honestly. You want to do it, wholeheartedly. You want to just put it out there for them to know, to learn, and don't expect to get leads tomorrow. Right? Do it just for the sake of just doing it and putting it out there. Right? Don't do it because you want to fix a problem that you're currently having with your business. Because it'll come off on camera that you're not genuine with it. Right? All right. That's basically my piece on
Your little rant.
yeah, a
Your
little bit. It's
little
just you can tell I was a bit,
you can tell
I was
like
a bit
it's hitting
triggered.
home. It's hitting home.
Yeah, like anyways, moving on. So the next topic, guys, we're going to be talking about being prolific with content publishing rather than being perfect with it, and how quantity will lead to quantity will eventually lead to quality, right?
I struggle with this one because like I want the content that we put out there to be nice and perfect, right? It needs to be beautiful. It's like
I understand.
like
but-
you know what they say, like if you watch a movie and it's got like terrible audio, like it's 9 times out of 10, even if you have like beautiful imagery or not, like people are not gonna watch it because like of the audio.
I beg to differ.
Wait, have you listened to a YouTube of an amateur where the audio is only on one side? And it's one of those things that I hate so much, but like I'm like, just duplicate that audio.
But you're coming through as a mindset of a creator and a technician and
well, that's why I'm struggling with
expert.
this question, right? Because like as a content producer, you want it to be like nice for people to view.
Look, I agree with you. But at the same time, obviously, it can't be just crap content at the end. You can't just be posting, you taking like 3-second videos of yourself just posting up there. You're doing crazy crap, because that's not gonna work. You want to be putting content out there that's relatable, right? That's basically deemed as good content. But at the same time, you don't want to be putting out trash content. And look, in saying that, with being prolific over perfect, I'm not saying again that you should be just spamming out just crap content. What you want to be doing is you want to be putting content out there that has value, right? At the end of the day, what you're doing is you're providing free value, right? And another example that we're gonna keep going back to the podcast with Chris Do in the future and Daniel Priestley. But what he said is that, for example, the Beatles, they released 12 songs every single week for a couple years before they became famous, right? And that's what you do. You're trying to gain traction through volume, right? And you're not gonna know what's gonna, especially if you're getting started, you're not gonna know what's gonna work until you put yourself out there. Same thing with our strategy at the moment. We're starting to just pump out the content for ourselves, which is why we do this podcast. Once this podcast is done, our young Jerome's going to cut this podcast up to 14, 15 pieces of content, and we're going to release that over a span of 2-3 weeks.
Yeah.
And what we're doing is we're putting ourselves out there, and we're seeing what works, what doesn't, and what doesn't work, what works, we keep doing more of, right? And what we found is that people resonate better with genuine content. So the talking head stuff, where you're talking directly to a camera and scripted stuff, doesn't really work anymore, right? What we found that majority of our clients, what popped and what went, I guess, semi-viral was the content that was genuine, like where we're just talking about random stuff that connects with people.
Genuine experiences.
Correct. And that's the saying, prolific over perfect. So you're doing volume rather than having every piece being perfection, right? Because if you're gonna make sure that make sure every piece of your content you release is like absolute gold, and you're never going to have enough data or content out there to know what works, what doesn't, right? And in terms of doing the quality over the quantity over quality, is that the quantity will eventually lead to the quality. Yeah. Right, at the end of the day, right?
I like the saying from I believe this was attributed to Tim Cook as well. Break things and move fast. Move fast and break things. Sorry.
Break things and move fast.
Move fast and break things is the saying.
Huh.
So because this basically comes back to how how when we started. This is directly relatable to prolific over perfect, because if you think about the content that we started posting out like a month ago, it looked like
crap,
garbage. Like disgusting.
Yeah.
The light was off, like everything was pixelated, the green screen, you can see some of that stuff. But like over time, because we were pumping out so much, we started seeing these things.
Things worked.
And you don't see the imperfectness of anything unless you start putting it in front of eyeballs.
I guess also what the advantage that we have is that we do it for our clients as well.
Yeah.
So we test a lot of stuff for our clients and we see what works for them, right? So we don't just have our own page that we're testing on, but we're testing on multiple channels, and we see first person what works, what doesn't.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's what we're doing more of. And yeah, man, just
it's interesting. It's interesting how like perfection just comes like from a byproduct of like what we're testing.
Correct.
Right? It just goes to show that. Just post. Doesn't matter what it is. Post. Well, it does matter. Like as in terms like post, but like have some good content behind it, sort of thing.
Now,
right?
Gary Vee actually says there's actually a triangle with your content creation or your content posting, right? So there's 3 elements to it, right? It's quality, sitting on number 1. You've got volume, sitting on number 2, and speed, number 3, right? And obviously, sometimes you can't control the quality because you don't know what you're posting yet, right? So what you do is you do volume and you do speed, right? So you start posting a lot. And you start posting quick. So every day, 3-4 posts a day. What that does is that'll give you a massive data set of to know what works, what doesn't, right? And as soon as you've got that, you'll start seeing that the triangle kind of even out to the quality kind of sits on top too. That's interesting, isn't it?
So good.
And that's a strategy that I've been using for our own stuff. I'm just like, I don't care what I post. I'm just gonna post it. Obviously, when I say I don't care, of course I care about the content, but I don't care about the quality in terms of if there's a mistake here and there. Okay, just post it regardless, right? Because people don't care about those little blips and stuff.
Yeah,
right?
they're pretty forgiving when it comes to like the internet's pretty forgiving if you're being very honest about your mistakes.
Correct.
If you're trying to hide it, they'll pick it up. I had something to say with that. Hold on. Damn it, I forgot.
No, that's fine.
I forgot.
So
so which episode of Gary Vee's podcast? That was a really interesting.
I see a lot of snippets online, man. I'm like scrolling social media on a day-to-day basis. It's kind of depressing. Because it gets to you after a while. But yeah, so yeah, just check out his page. He says it somewhere. I can't remember. But what I'm trying to say is with content in general, some tips, guys, if you're interested in starting your content marketing journey or your content producing journey is that...
I know what I was going to say. Sorry.
Yeah, go
on. Because we understand as a creative myself, it's hard. It's hard to pump out content that is subpar. And that's the thing that we struggle with a lot of the times, and that's why people don't put out as much content as possible, is because like they're too invested in their
looks,
product. Right?
It's like we remember one of our other clients who she wanted to nitpick every little thing. Her shirt was showing a stomach and little flap. Oh,
I remember that experience. That was terrible.
That's the worst type of clients, and you don't really want to deal with them because they're too invested in their I guess their brand, and it's not. It doesn't matter.
I wouldn't say branded. They're too invested in their looks.
Yeah, it's just that it doesn't. Those little things that they're asking us to change on a regular basis does not matter, and then it's hard.
I mean, like at the end of the day, like, are you here to show yourself, or are you here to like help your clients grow?
Correct.
And your audience, like,
correct.
like provide value to your audience. Right?
No, with that client, it was actually quite interesting.
Right. Too negative. Let's move on.
But look, just to end, I guess this episode is some tips I want to give content or business owners out there who are looking to produce content. Right, some easy ways to gain content is through podcasting. Through podcasting, you're able to you're able to create 16, 14, 15 pieces of content easily, right? Because if you plan it well, you'll be able to provide a lot of free value to your clients, and you'll also get all those snippets that you can post up, just like what we're currently doing. Other forms of content you can do is, for example, we just had a gentleman who's also in the same field as us come visit our office. We could have recorded that, which we didn't. Mistakes on us, but that's also a great way to get them to ask you questions about your field and how to do things. And you don't realize how much you know until you get asked basic questions.
Very true.
And when you start spitting out all this knowledge, you're like, holy crap,
I know my stuff.
And on top of that, these are the questions that other people are interested in, right? So get it out there. And lastly, man, you can even do like talking pieces on the phone of just your daily vlogs, just to kind of show people what you're doing. So yeah, man, easy ways to create content, man. Very easy ways to create content. I mean, we do it on a day-to-day, which is why we find it so easy, and why it's like we took 4 or 5 months to finally get started with our social media content producing. But once we've got started, it's really easy.
It's the hardest part. The starting is the hardest part. Like I find with anything I do, I procrastinate on it a lot. But once you start on it, like with
just do it.
Yeah,
Just do it.
and
And
it's with any editing jobs as well. Like I sit there for like a day or two. I'm like, then when I start, I'm like, okay, don't stop me, sort of thing.
isn't that the same thing that you mentioned about just the story of editing a video, right? The story doesn't come until you get started and you start piecing stuff together, and that's
Correct.
when
Yeah.
it develops.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, just get started. Look, I think that's all the time we have for this episode. So this is EP3 of the Digital Monkey Show. If you enjoyed this video, or if you have any questions about this creative field, videography, business, or social media, please leave a comment in the section below. Subscribe, and yeah, like if you enjoyed it.
We'll also have like some of the resources that we mentioned in the podcast, like in the show notes, guys. Like for example, the episode with Christo, like from the future, and Daniel Priestley. We'll definitely have that on there for you guys to review. And if you guys have had any questions, not questions, sorry. If you guys want to get inspired or want to understand how content, mass producing content is done, check out our Instagram, check out our TikTok, and we have examples of all of that.
Or if you even want to come on the podcast and ask some questions, or Zoom call, whatever, man, free content, I don't mind. So yeah, thank you, Fung, thank you, Jerome, and thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.